This changes everything for the San Diego Padres. We've got to talk about a huge weekend, historic outings for the San Diego Padres across the board, and a new franchise ace has been crowned. What's going on, everybody? I am Christian Pedersen, back with another episode of Padres Digest. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is the part of the show where I have to do the obligatory things to keep my bosses happy, and that is ask you to hit the subscribe button. All right, let's talk about the baseball now. I will go back to what you saw there. That was the last out of Michael King's complete game, 2-hit, 8-strikeout effort against the Rockies as the Padres grabbed their first ever full series shutout of an opposing team. The Padres doing it in a way that absolutely looked dominant on all fronts. Michael King, a big part of that. And that's where I say, when you got a guy that can do these things, those are his pitching overlays. I love these kinds of breakdowns where you can see what he's got. He's got all sorts of junk and does not have to rely on just straight power. That is going to be a big part of my argument as to why I think he has become the ace. There is a lot of good news and no bad news out of this video. Sometimes there is bad news, nuanced as good news, silver linings of all this stuff. This is nothing but good news because, yes, the Padres did indeed have a historic day. They got the CG win. It was their first time ever as a team shutting out an opponent in an entire series. This tweet summarized that game better than anything else. Michael King needs to be a Padre for the rest of his career. I believe that is a sentiment shared by the front office. They are hopefully trying to get that done. There are other videos that I have talked about, different dominoes starting to fall, about how they set up the money to get that done. So make sure that is why you are hitting the subscribe button, because all those videos will be coming to you all season long. But look, I think that if you're trying to break down who's the ace on the Padres, you're welcome and allowed to be a Cease enthusiast. He is also a very good pitcher, has thrown a no-hitter for the Padres, so obviously very talented. Maybe you like Yu Darvish still as being our ace until he retires. Maybe you're a Joe Musgrove, Matt Waldron, Randy Vasquez. Look, I want to hear from you guys. Let me know if you think I'm right, wrong, or somewhere in the middle of it all. This is the numbers, again, as I said, 9 innings, 0 hits, 8 Ks, or 0 runs, 8 Ks, 2 hits, 1 walk. And if any of you are going to try and jump in the comments section and say, oh, like it was the Rockies, we could have put a pitching machine out. No. I get that this was not the Phillies. I get that this was not the Dodgers. Like, it's not the most elite team. But they are a Major League Baseball roster. And anybody out there that has not played at that level, I don't think can do that degree of put downing. Like, we can all be armchair quarterbackings. It's what makes this podcast possible, but it's still a major league team. He threw a CG, 2 hits, 8 Ks, had command of pretty much everything that he wanted. We will show, let's roll some of the other footage of what he was doing. This one right here is, like I said, that overlay. You see 83, 86. You see 83, 80. He goes as high up as 96 on some of these strikeouts that he's getting. We will go to video number 3 here. Cut 3, some other, as a little Jim Rome would say. This one, he goes up and in for 92. Cease is going up in like the 96, 98, all that kind of stuff. But to me, I love a guy who has the confidence and movement in his stuff to just pound the zone, throw strikes, change speeds. This start felt Greg Maddux-y. Ooh, that is much harder to. That was much better in my head than it came out. But Greg Maddux-ish, Greg Maddux-like, just in, out, up, down, faster, slower, this, that, move, up, bop, bop, bop. Like, it was kind of all over the place. Cease can be our flame-throwing, hard slider, hard guy. So maybe King is not the universal ace for all situations. Maybe there is still a Cease moment where he can be our one, but I think Cease is 1A, King is 1B, because Cease, yes, 8 Ks here, but the amount of pitching to the zone that we saw, I think he will have a lot better chance in a lot more games going deeper than Cease, because Cease just throws so hard, so many pitches, that a lot of the times, by the time he is in the 6th inning, into the 7th inning, those pitch counts are high up. And if you're talking about, to me, what like makes an ace, it's not just the quality of the stuff, but it's the consistency and quantity of the stuff. And if King can start to go, and granted, we've seen some of the bad starts already this season, so I know that he's not going to throw, perfect games every single outing. I know that he's not going to be every single time always perfect all night long. But if this guy right here can be pounding the zone with different speeds all season long and consistently be able to throw in the range of 100 pitches when the Padres need him, and take some days off of the bullpen, rest them up, just need to use the 8th or 9th inning guy. Like, to me, that's where you start talking about not only is his stuff good for the outings and for his games, but there's those other dominoes and impacts of his stuff helps the other pitchers be better because more bullpen arms are rested to help out when maybe Pivetta can only go 5, or when the bullpen just needs to take a day because, like, we saw the one where Kyle Hart absolutely imploded. So when you have a guy who's good enough with his stuff that not only does it impact and affect the day that he is pitching, but there is spillover into the other days, that's hard to quantify statistically, but that's easy to say that that's your ace. So now if the Padres have an actual ace, and I have to always say the caveat with all of this, I could be wrong in everything, but on this one, more than a lot of other things, I feel like I am really on to something correctly here. I don't think that we are misidentifying how good Michael King is. Almost slipped and said Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease also very good. But I think if we are identifying Michael King as somebody who is evolving right now, a la the Raptors in Jurassic Park, where he's finally figuring out how to use the door and evolve into that true apex predator. Like, if we have this guy figuring out this early in the season, you can look back and be like, okay, he was this guy 2 years ago. He was this guy last year, and you can see the tangible growth. He is entering the prime athletically of his life. So I think from now until like 3.5 years from now, we could be looking at a guy who is going to go on a really good Jake Peavy, maybe shouldn't say Matt Latos, but Latos was the star, like a good signature. He's the Padres' arm for a while. Now, I'm not saying that then is like, let's ship Cease off to Siberia and trade everybody else because we've got it locked out. Like, we still need those other pitchers. But right now, we are witnessing, I believe, Michael King coming into his own, evolving into his maximum form, and becoming the Padres ace, answering the question of, like, who's our guy to start a series? Who's our guy to go in and, who's the guy that maybe goes on 4 days rest? Who's the guy that faces the big baddies from the other team's lineups? I think King does that, and then starts, as I said, that domino now of the Padres can lock that in. The Padres can then hopefully start counting on him for 7, 6, 8, like somewhere in that range, every single start, if not on some of these teams that are maybe not as loaded of lineups, being like, leave him out there, try and get him into the 9th. Try and get him through the 9th. Like, maybe he could throw 2 more complete games this season. And that's kind of a rarity in Major League Baseball, so it's, to me, worth its weight in gold. I pause now because we still do have to pay him, and there is a mix of doing this job of, like, talk about this year versus talk about the long term of the Padres, and we will get to the long term. But that's not here. That's not now. Padres want to win this year's World Series without doing too much work on next year's World Series. So let's focus on the here and now for this year. The here and now for this year is that the Padres have figured out their ace. The Padres are better because of it. The whole franchise is better because of it. You guys should be excited because of it. And I think we're no longer talking flukes. This is now serious stuff. This is a large enough sample size to say that he is our ace. Padres are looking great this year, and then it is going to be, and we've got other videos on all of this, so go check it out. It's going to be a spoil of riches when you start talking about the possibility for Yu Darvish to come back healthy, not having to be rushed. When you talk about Joe Musgrove maybe even making a September stretch run appearance and coming back, the Padres pitching staff is going from good back into that great or elite category now because of actively what you are seeing from Michael King. Let me know, though, what you think. Drop a comment, and as I said at the beginning, it would do me a great service with my bosses if you could hit that subscribe button. Until next time, keep the faith, Padres fans. Things are getting better every day in 2025.